The mansion's marble floor pulsed with laughter from two little kids, their bare feet tapping wildly. In the middle of the grand kitchen, the maid Emily, 27, twirled like sunlight in a uniform far too plain for the joy she carried. The twins, both deaf, clapped to the rhythm they felt through vibrations in the countertop. None of them noticed the tall figure stepping into the doorway, Daniel Carter, 35, billionaire single dad, frozen in shock at the sight. Before him. Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more videos like this. Let's begin. Asterisk asterisk. Daniel's throat tightened. He had hired Emily 2 weeks ago. A quiet woman with kind eyes, never expecting her to bring this. His twins, Lily and Noah, just 7 years old, hadn't laughed this hard since their mother passed. Now they were spinning with her like the kitchen was their stage. "Daddy!" Lily signed with frantic hands, her smile brighter than the chandelier above. Noah tugged Emily's sleeve, urging her to keep going. Daniel cleared his throat, the weight of authority in his voice. "What's going on here?" Emily froze mid-step, her cheeks burning. I'm sorry, Mr. Carter. They asked me to dance." "I didn't mean." But before Daniel could respond, Noah jumped forward, his small fingers moving quickly in sign language. "She understands us, Dad. She feels the music the way we do." Daniel blinked. His twins rarely trusted strangers. Yet here they were, clinging to the maid as if she were family. Emily's voice trembled, but her eyes didn't waver. "I saw them pressing their hands on the counter, feeling the vibration. I thought maybe if I joined, they'd feel less alone." Daniel's chest tightened, a storm of emotions battling within him. For years he'd spent millions on specialists, tutors, private schools, yet nothing pierced the loneliness shadowing his children. Now a maid with no degrees, no pedigree, had managed to light them up in minutes. "Emily," he said finally, his tone low but intense. "Come with me." Her breath hitched. She followed him out of the kitchen, her hands clasped nervously. The laughter of the twins echoed behind them, a haunting reminder of something Daniel hadn't heard in years. Pure happiness. In the hallway, his voice was sharper. "Do you realize what you just did? Dancing in my kitchen like..." He stopped. He saw her trembling. He saw the fear in her eyes, the kind he recognized from his own boardroom battles. But behind that fear was something else. Courage. Emily swallowed hard. "If you want to fire me, I understand. But please, don't stop them from being happy. They've lost enough already." Daniel's jaw clenched. His instinct screamed to maintain control, to protect the bubble he'd built around his fragile family. But another part of him, the father aching for his children's laughter, whispered that maybe, just maybe, he had been wrong. He exhaled slowly. "You're not fired." Emily blinked. "You mean?" "You're not just their maid anymore," Daniel said, his voice steady but soft. "From this moment, you're their teacher too. But understand, if you hurt them in any way, you'll regret it." Emily's eyes glistened, not from fear but from something else. Relief. "I won't, I promise." Back in the kitchen, Lily and Noah watched eagerly as Emily returned. Daniel stood in the doorway, silent, as his children grabbed Emily's hands again. For the first time in years, he didn't feel like the richest man in the world. He felt like the poorest, standing on the edge of something money couldn't buy, and he wasn't sure if he was ready. Asterisk. The night pressed heavy against the mansion's tall windows. Daniel sat in his study, the firelight flickering across his face as he replayed what he had witnessed in the kitchen. He had seen board members grovel, investors panic, and competitors kneel, but nothing had shaken him quite like watching his twins beam in joy because of Emily. He swirled the amber liquid in his glass, untouched. Money had never been his problem, but connection? That had been stolen from him the day his wife left him with nothing but 2 children who couldn't even hear him say, "I love you." A soft knock broke his thoughts. He expected his assistant. Instead, Emily stood in the doorway, hesitant, Mr. Carter, she whispered. Daniel's brows lifted. It's late. What are you doing here? Her hands fidgeted with the hem of her apron. The twins couldn't sleep. They wanted a story. He almost laughed bitterly. A story? Do you know how many times I've tried? I sign it, I read it, I buy the most expensive animated books, and still they look at me like I'm a stranger. His voice cracked sharper than he intended. Emily didn't flinch. She walked closer, her step soft, her courage louder than her fear. They don't need expensive stories, Mr. Carter. They need someone who sees the world the way they do. Someone willing to listen without sound. Daniel's gaze hardened. And you think you're that someone? Emily lowered her head, but her words carried weight. Tonight, for the first time, they smiled like children, not like shadows. Isn't that worth something? Her words pierced. He hated that she was right. He hated even more that he, with all his power, hadn't been able to give them that. Show me, Daniel said suddenly. Her head lifted, confusion written across her face. Show you what? Show me how you talk to them. Show me what you did that I couldn't. His tone was almost a challenge, as if daring her to prove she wasn't just a maid with too much courage. Emily inhaled, then nodded. Come with me. The twins were sitting cross-legged on their beds, pajamas wrinkled from tossing. Lily clutched her teddy bear. Noah tapped impatient fingers against the blanket. When Emily walked in, both their faces lit like lanterns. She sat between them, pulling out a flashlight. Daniel leaned on the doorframe, arms crossed. Skeptical. Emily clicked the light on and off, making shapes against the wall. Her hands moved. Swiftly, signs Daniel barely recognized. The twins leaned closer, their laughter silent but vibrant. The shadows danced into characters. A wolf, a rabbit, a hero with a sword. And when the rabbit fell, Lily gasped. When the hero saved it, Noah clapped. Daniel's throat closed. He had never seen them so alive. Emily turned to him, her voice steady. It's not about sound, Mr. Carter. It's about story. They feel it here. She pressed her palm to her heart, and here. She touched the light beam that painted the wall. Lily looked up at her father, eyes wide, signing quickly. Daddy, you watch too. You'll like it. Daniel swallowed hard. For once, he obeyed his daughter's plea. He stepped inside, loosening the knot in his tie, and sat on the edge of Noah's bed. Emily continued, her hands weaving the narrative, the flashlight bending shadows into magic. And when she finished, Lily leaned against Daniel's arm, a gesture she hadn't done in years. Noah tugged his sleeve, signing clumsily. Daddy, smile. Daniel forced one at first, but it grew real, aching, raw, unfamiliar. Later, after the twins drifted into peaceful sleep, Emily quietly folded the blanket and slipped out. Daniel followed her down the hall, his steps heavy. Why? Are you really here, Emily? His voice was low, suspicious. You could work anywhere. Why my house? She froze. The question she had been dreading finally cornered her. Her chest tightened, but she met his eyes. Because I needed a job. Because I needed hope. Hope. He echoed, his tone sharp. Her lips trembled. I lost someone too. My brother. He was deaf. The world never gave him space. I swore if I ever had the chance, I'd make sure another child didn't feel as invisible as he did. Daniel stared, stunned into silence. His instincts screamed. To guard his family, to trust no one. But something about her confession hit too close. You think kindness is enough to protect them? His voice hardened. This world doesn't care about kindness. Emily didn't back down. Maybe not, but your kids do. And they'll remember the moments of kindness long after they forget the price tags of everything else you've given. Them. The words landed heavy. Daniel turned away, jaw tight. He didn't want to admit it, but he knew she was right. The following morning, breakfast was unusually quiet, not in the ordinary sense, but in the way the twins clung to Emily's. Every movement, every smile. Daniel watched from across the table, wrestling with emotions he didn't want to feel. His assistant, Mark, entered with a file. "Sir, the board meeting." Daniel raised a hand. "Later." Mark froze, shocked. Daniel Carter never postponed business, ever. But today, Daniel's eyes were fixed on the way Noah traced letters into Emily's palm, the way Lily signed questions eagerly, and when Emily caught Daniel watching, she didn't shrink away. Instead, she offered a small, knowing smile. Something in his chest shifted, something dangerous, something he hadn't felt in years. That night, as Daniel walked past the kitchen, he stopped at the sound of muffled giggles. He peeked inside. The twins were at the counter again, palms pressed to feel the vibrations of music Emily had turned on softly low enough not to disturb the silence of the house, but deep enough to pulse through their skin. Emily twirled, the twins following, their movements clumsy but radiant, and Daniel stepped inside. The twins froze, expecting him to scold. But instead, Daniel loosened his cufflinks, rolled his sleeves, and extended a hand. "Teach me," he said to Emily, his voice rough, almost broken. Emily's eyes widened. "You mean dance?" His jaw flexed. "If it makes them laugh like that again, then yes, dance." Lily squealed silently, grabbing her father's hand. Noah pushed him forward. Emily placed his palm gently on the countertop. "Feel the rhythm. Don't hear it. Feel it." And for the first time in years, Daniel Carter, the man who built empires, the man who thought he could control everything, let go. He felt the rhythm through his children's hands. He followed Emily's steps. And he laughed loud, raw, unguarded. The twins lit up, the kitchen glowing brighter than any chandelier. For that moment, they weren't a billionaire, a maid, or deaf children carrying silent pain. They were a family, fragile, imperfect, but real, and Daniel knew it terrified him more than anything. The storm rolled in without warning. Thunder cracked above the mansion, shaking the windows. Emily was in the kitchen preparing soup while the twins built towers with wooden blocks at the table. Daniel had gone to his office for a late conference call, his voice echoing distantly down the marble halls. Then darkness. The entire house went black. Lily gasped silently, her hands fumbling for her brother. Noah gripped her arm, panic flooding his small face. They couldn't hear the storm, but the sudden void, no lights, no steady hum of machines, was terrifying. Emily dropped the ladle and rushed to them. She knelt, taking both their trembling hands. With her fingers she signed, "It's okay. I'm here." She grabbed a flashlight from the drawer and clicked it on, casting a soft beam across their frightened faces. Upstairs, Daniel stormed from his office. "Mark, what happened to the generator?" His voice was sharp, demanding. Emily looked up as he entered the kitchen, his face tense. "It's just the storm," she said calmly. "I'll keep them steady until it passes." But Daniel saw the fear in his children's eyes and felt his chest squeeze. They were reliving every nightmare: abandonment, silence, darkness. His instincts screamed to fix it with money, with solutions. Yet here was Emily, crouched on the floor with nothing but a flashlight, somehow anchoring them better than he ever could. "No," Daniel muttered, stepping closer. "They need—" Emily's voice cut through him, steady but firm. "They need presence, not panic." Her words stunned him. She turned back to the twins, signing slowly, deliberately, her hands glowing under the flashlight beam. She told them a story, not with sound, not with shadows this time, but with pure movement. A story of a ship in a storm, a ship that would not sink because it had a captain brave enough to guide it home. The twins leaned in, their breathing slowing, fear giving way to wonder. Noah's lips curved into a small smile. Lily pressed against. Emily sighed, her teddy bear forgotten. Daniel's throat tightened. He had thrown millions at tutors, therapists, specialists. Yet here, in the silence of a blackout, Emily gave them more comfort than all of his wealth combined. When the lights finally flickered back on, the twins clapped silently, their joy restored. Emily exhaled, relieved. Daniel stared at her, something breaking open inside him. "How did you?" Emily met his gaze, her own eyes glistening. "Because I know what it feels like to be lost in the dark." The next morning, Daniel found Emily in the garden, tending to flowers the gardener had long neglected. The twins were nearby, laughing silently as they chased each other through the dew. He stood watching for a long moment before finally speaking. "You've changed everything." Emily froze. "I'm sorry if I overstepped." "No." His voice cut sharp, but softened quickly. "Don't apologize. You gave them something I couldn't, and you gave me something I didn't know I was missing." Her brows furrowed. "What's that?" Daniel stepped closer, the weight of vulnerability heavy in his voice. "Hope." Emily's eyes filled with tears. For a moment, neither spoke. The silence between them wasn't empty, it was full, alive. That evening, Daniel hosted a rare dinner with close business associates. The dining hall was filled with polished laughter, clinking glasses, and shallow compliments. The twins usually hid during such gatherings, uncomfortable with the noise they couldn't hear and the stares they couldn't ignore. But this time, Emily guided them into the room, her hands encouraging. Lily clutched a notebook where she had written, "Hello, my name is Lily." Noah held one too. "My name is Noah." The guests quieted, some exchanging skeptical glances. Daniel felt the tension rise. Then, to everyone's shock, Emily tapped the table gently to get attention. She signed slowly to the twins, encouraging them to introduce themselves. With shaky hands, Lily raised her notebook. Noah followed. The room fell into silence. For the first time, Daniel didn't see pity in his children's faces. He saw courage. A guest cleared his throat awkwardly, trying to dismiss it. But Daniel slammed his hand down on the table, startling everyone. "My children," he declared, his voice powerful, "are not shadows in this house. They are the light. And if anyone here has a problem with that, you know where the door is." The guests shifted uncomfortably. One excused himself. The others murmured agreement. Emily looked at Daniel, stunned. And in his gaze, she saw not just a billionaire guarding his empire, but a father finally fighting for his children's right to be seen. Later, after the last guest left, Daniel found Emily cleaning the dishes. He stopped her hand mid-scrub, his own covering hers. "You've done more than dance with them," he said softly. "You've given them a reason to believe they belong in this world." Emily's breath caught. "That's all I ever wanted." He studied her face, the strength and kindness woven into every line. For once, Daniel Carter, untouchable billionaire, feared CEO, felt small, humbled. And he whispered, almost to himself, "Maybe we needed you more than you needed us." That night, as the twins slept peacefully, Daniel stood in the doorway of their room. Emily sat at the edge of the bed, brushing Lily's hair back gently. Noah clutched her hand even in sleep. Daniel didn't move. He didn't interrupt. He just watched. Because for the first time in years, his house wasn't just a fortress of wealth. It was a home. And deep down, Daniel knew one thing with absolute certainty. His life had been changed forever. Not by power or money, but by kindness. The kind he almost didn't let through the door.